Okay, welcome to this first video on the Esports channel. So this video is going to be about Unit 1 on the Level 3 BTEC Esports course, and specifically this is going to be about the stakeholders in the UK, and this first video is about the DCMS, or the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport. Now, there are other stakeholders, obviously, in the UK. A lot of people would actually start by talking about the British Esports Federation. But the way that I'm going to do these videos is I'm actually going to go from the top down. So later on in the unit, when we start looking at the organisation of esports, we've kind of already covered it in that order. So this video won't be too long. There's not actually that much to talk about with the DCMS other than sort of where they sit and what responsibilities they actually have. So the DCMS is the main sort of thoroughfare for funding and for sort of legislation relating to anything that's classed as a media product, anything digital, and anything sport related. So if you're into your football or you're into tennis, you know, you've got like the FA and the Lawn Tennis Association and things like that, other national governing bodies. They basically answer to the DCMS. So the DCMS will set funding, they will look at sort of surrounding issues to do with the area, which we'll talk about a few to do with esports later on. And they sort of just have this overarching responsibility, which they list as priorities on their website, link in the description for any websites or web pages that I use in all videos. And you can see here basically their priorities are to grow the economy, connect industry throughout the UK, increase participation, and sort of support the media industry. As far as esports is concerned, the main thing we have with the DCMS is that because they're overarching and because esports isn't legally classed as a sport in the UK, what that means is that esports is more supported as a media product or a culture product. It's not supported as a sport product as of yet. Consequently, what that means is that we don't actually get funding officially from the DCMS like the Football Association does. So the DCMS will talk to us about issues like you probably aware about loot boxes if you played any games like Overwatch or anything like that. You probably aware about things like legislation for teams and stuff like that. The DCMS doesn't do the second one for esports, but it does do the first one. So now we know sort of who they are and where they sit. Again, link to this in the description. Let's look at the second link that I've got, which is this one. So there's a lot of parts to break down in this. There's quite a bit of it we don't actually need to read. But one of the bits I like to focus on is when people say, well, how is the DCMS involved? This sort of sums it up really nicely. So the question was asked to a committee in the DCMS, and it says, we asked the DCMS to lay out within the next 6 months a framework for the duty of care practices enshrining governing bodies in sport, blah, blah, blah. And if we go to esports, their response is that esports is an area of potential development in the UK, and they comment on the strength of the UK industry. And they're recognizing that, you know, that esports is getting big now. If you followed esports in your own time, so if you're into things like League of Legends or Rocket League or Overwatch or anything like that, you've probably noticed that the scale of their leagues has increased every year. Well, apart from Overwatch, sorry, any Overwatch fans, but Overwatch 2 is right around the corner, right? So what they're saying here is they appreciate that there's been notable link-ups with traditional sport. As you can see, we had the Formula 1 Virtual Grand Prix and the Premier League. And they're also starting to understand that this industry has a potential. If you look at point 29, they're saying that the government will provide a relationship with the sector to help promote more opportunities. So again, they're not officially saying, here's a load of money. What they're saying is, it's like, oh, hang on a minute. This esports thing's actually quite interesting, and there's a lot of space for us to get an industry booming from it in the future. So based on this, which was done, it's not recent, it's I'll put the date in the description. I can't actually recall what the date is, but it's not this year or the previous year. What they're saying is that they're going to hold a ministerial roundtable with key stakeholders. So this is going to be people like Epic Games, people like Riot Games, Ubisoft, EA, things like that. They're gonna and they're gonna start talking to all these people. They'll start talking to organisations like Fnatic, like Excel, and other teams that are in the UK, and they're gonna start trying to build up this idea of identity in the esports industry and start to not necessarily standardise it, but get people together so they can talk about things. Another thing we're going to talk about in another video is the UKIE, or the United Kingdom Interactive Entertainment Body. They're also sort of interested in esports because they do a lot of the certification. So if you've ever heard of the PEGI ratings, which are from sort of Europe, they have like a UK adaptation of the PEGI ratings, which is something we'll go into in another video. But essentially what we can take from this is that the DCMS do not fund esports directly. They are, however, interested in it, and they sit above all of the other sort of government agencies that relate to esports. So any other videos that you see based on this, the DCMS would technically be at the top whenever anything is talked about to do with esports in the UK. That's the DCMS. Other videos will be more detailed because they're sort of just at the top and they don't necessarily do big inclusive things in the industry. It's hard to go into much detail about them. But yeah, that's the DCMS. So hope you enjoyed this little video. More to come. Unit 1 will hopefully be covered quite quickly. We'll be looking at the UK Interactive Entertainment Body next. Thanks for watching.